Welcome to the February 2025 edition of the Tough Love Arena State of the Game Stream. I am your host, Paul, one of the co-creators of Tough Love Arena, and tonight we'll be telling you all about the state of the game. Yes, woohoo in chat. Thank you, King Stays. We're going to be telling you, this is a monthly update we do that you can watch live on Twitch, but we put the VODs on YouTube, which is probably where you're watching it now, and we're going to tell you all about the state of the game, what we worked on in the last month, what we've got coming up in the next several months that you have to look forward to, and talk about balance other stuff. We will go through a survey, monthly survey, which if you're in chat right now, you still have about 15 minutes to fill it out. Please do so. I'll paste it again in chat. Here we go. Copy paste. Great content for YouTube, I know. We'll go through that survey and then we'll have a general Q&A as always. I am also working on a second game at this time called Scramble Heart City, so that will also be fair game in the Q&A, and we'll have a very brief update about it at the end of this slideshow. And without further ado, let's jump in. If I can focus on the right thing. Past. So, what did we do in the last month with Tough Love Arena? We ran the wonderful Tough Love Arena birthday tournament. So, big shout outs to, in the chat, Shiggy, the wonderful person who runs our weekly Tough Love Gauntlet series. They are essentially officially taking over running the majors for me. I'm going to still be there. I'm running it, or I'm setting it up. I'm making sure people get prizes. I'll be in commentary. But Shiggy is just a more competent TO. They can be faster and better on managing OBS and keeping and putting in records, and I'm just not good at it. And I tried for 2 years, and I'm glad I did, and I've got the basics down. But at a certain point, I felt like TLG was looking better than some of the officials, so why not just leave it to the TLG person? But yeah, wonderful event. Super hype. Top 8. This is, oh no noodle, but still 5 out of 6 is pretty good showing. A lot less spices than usual. A lot of great beef dominance. You can catch the VOD of this on this YouTube channel if you want. And I should say for the whole month we had the birthday skins active. So we do these like seasonal skins. January it's the birthday skins, and we'll have the April Fool's skins coming up very soon. My big technical accomplishment was adding support for coin operation. So we have an existing arcade cabinet. We've talked about it in past shows. It's at Wonderville Arcade in Brooklyn, here where I live. And it's a wonderful thing that we were able to make with the organizers, with the owners of Wonderville, Mark Klebe in particular. And having that cabinet there for the last couple of months and showing it off, it got the attention of another arcade proprietor who wanted to have a Tough Love Arena cabinet in their venue. However, whereas Wonderville is a bar that makes its money on drinks and food and then just has a bunch of cabinets on free play, this person wanted to actually charge for the cabinet. Maybe they sell tokens or something. So I needed to add that, Mark is figuring out the hardware and installing a coin door and all that stuff, but I needed to add software to handle, what does it mean to put in a credit? How do I, gate behavior based on credits? So this is just the only interesting thing I could think to screenshot, which is a small cabinet mode where you can choose the token cost. But I've done almost all that now. I think I still need to do like a bug pass, but it's basically done, and you can see it now here. I have it in this little baggie. Actually, let me switch to the big view camera. Yes, here we go. So this is the official. I'm taking out the Ziploc bag. This is just how I organize everything in Ziploc bags, so that way the cables don't go everywhere and get tangled. This is the official Tough Love Arena cabinet / console. This one is labeled rice, so I can keep track of them. So I've got a rice cabinet here that is going in the new cabinet for the new venue. And I've also taken this opportunity to create and prepare a noodle. The cabinet is the physical thing. I guess I call these consoles. A noodle console and an itty bitty, so I had to cut the sticker in half to fit, beef console. They make these things get so small now. Look at this. Look at this. They're so small. But strong enough to run Tough Love Arena at 120 FPS. More than enough. So these are all ready to be installed in consoles theoretically, and these are also what I'm going to start bringing to events like Combo Breaker later this year. Rather than having to bring a bunch of bulky the bulky laptops, I'm probably just going to rent monitors on site anyways because the laptop screens really weren't that great. And now we could just pack a bunch of these instead of having to get 5 laptops through TSA. I will put these all back in their bags later. Back to the slides. So that was a big technical accomplishment for me. We should be all ready for that next cabinet. Super exciting stuff. And then we also shipped out a balance patch. This was about a week ago. So what made it in, and we'll talk about this more in just a second, what didn't make it in and why, and what else is potentially still coming. But to real quick recap it, Noodle's Frenzy used to be a guaranteed burst because it's multi-hit and Noodle's locked into the animation and can't do anything until the 5th hit, at which point they could RC. So if you ever got hit by Noodle's Frenzy and you had 2 meters and you wanted to burst to reset to full screen, it was guaranteed. Noodle kind of got punished for hitting you with the situation, and that was very unique to Noodle. So I tried to make it the change that you could, as Noodle, RC any of the previous hits and have the same sort of mind game that we do with some of the other multi-hits like Beef's Uppercut. But for technical reasons of how the engine works right now and how it sort of tracks cancels windows, that is just not possible. If I can rewrite the engine without breaking things and add that functionality, that's probably what I will change it to. But at least for now, the simpler change to at least fix the problem is Frenzy's just unburstable. So now it's like Caber Toss. Caber Toss has an animation that has to play out. Cannot burst during that. And at the point that Noodle could go for a mix, because maybe they were going to do Frenzy and then try and juggle into Light in the corner or RC and immediately start planting some soups, you could now burst during that timing still. Fixed a bug with Noodle where they could get around the 2 soup limit because that limit was ignored. And this is just system-wide, like projectile limits were ignored when it was a cancel from an attack as opposed to doing the projectile move in neutral. This did impact some mods, but if you were a modder and you liked that behavior and you want to retain it, there are workarounds. You can just... I actually talked about it, I think, in the modding request channel, or... actually, maybe it was in the April Fool's channel, so I can copy-paste that elsewhere. So, no worries. No real functionality loss. Something else that had been coming up about Beef was how strong Lemon was for converting and as a punish starter. Pork did not have something commiserate because both of them have loops oriented around a special move where you would do first hit of uppercut, RC, character specific special move, wink, light, heavy, etc. For Pork it is chop, for Beef it is lemon. And they have essentially the same combo structure with that one move different. However, Pork's chop has a scaling penalty when used as a starter because it is armored, it can be used as a reversal, and we tried to make reversal initiated combos weaker. That did not apply to Lemon. And my feeling with Lemon is, with this change, by making this very targeted change, it makes the situation where you do just like YOLO Lemon, RC, run behind it, get a hit, that will do less damage. And it makes the situation of like Dream Punish scenario, you blocked Frenzy, that will also do less damage. You'll now do the same damage, have the same damage opportunities as Pork, essentially. But importantly, by making it a first hit scaling change, we retain the damage on just a random lemon, zoning lemon. A single lemon does the same amount of damage. And if you started the combo with a heavy punch or something, the lemon used mid-combo for lemon loops does the same amount of damage. So this, I think, was... I'm very happy with coming to this solution as like a surgical change to kind of nerf lemon damage in these sort of outlier scenarios because it was just uniquely a high damage option that I need to be high damage because sometimes you just get one lemon, and I want that to matter. But it was disproportionately giving Beef more options as a starter in weird situations. And likewise, kind of for parity, I also put it on Air Lemon. I'm not as attached to that. I can maybe be convinced to walk that one back, but definitely for Ground Lemon, yes. Just for now, I thought it made the most sense to be consistent. Caber Toss now, not frame 1, but at least starting on, I think, frame 3 or so, has the auto tech protection that all throws have during their startup. So if you're trying to, I'm going to meaty throw someone, and they're like, I'm going to psychically mash throw and wake up because I'm anticipating your throw and I want to tech it. Because Caber has more startup, if you happen to mess up your meaty, then there is like a 7 frame, from like frame 3 to frame 10 when Caber startup ends. If you get thrown during that, then you will both just tech and reset to neutral. It is not on frame 1 Kerbo because that would enable option selects to take advantage of the carry cancel window. That is explicitly why it doesn't start frame 1. So if it started frame 1, then anytime you woke up as pork, or anytime you wanted to go for chop, you could instead do Caber, neutral special, for like 1 or 2 frames, and then press back. The Kara cancel thing that try and helps like relatively sloppy inputs would then turn into chop, but you have a chop that essentially could tech for the first 2 frames. So don't want to introduce those sorts of OSs, don't want to introduce that sort of incentive in gamifying, so that is why it is explicitly made to start after the Kara cancel window finishes. Onion. So kind of, I think the order was I did the beef change, and then that got me thinking. And a big adaptation that I think has evolved with Onion in the last year plus. Again, balance changes on this game have been very slow in the last 1 to 2 years. We were very active, very reactive for the first year, but once I got the game stable, I wanted to be very careful and deliberate about when I changed things, and not just to be knee-jerking to, this character won a major, we have to destroy them. Hence why it's been a long time since we had a balance match, because I thought the game was in a pretty good place, and I think it was. I don't think I'm fixing anything existential, hence why all these are pretty subtle or situational changes. But it has been a common complaint that Onion is very strong, and in specific, the strategy that has evolved starting year 3 or whatever is using hop kick as a pseudo reversal, taking advantage of the fact that it has that fade back that can avoid someone walking up for a throw, or especially certain light attacks that are like noodles that are really lingering, that are very committal. Throw reversal being the main one, which is also impacted by how throws changed. I don't know, maybe this didn't come up in the previous throw proxy system for one reason or another. But yeah, that's actually a good point, Shiggy. It probably really started once around the time after throws became a dedicated button. It just became this very powerful reversal option that is Onion's strongest attack that rapid cancels and can lead to half health easily. And we have damage scaling on all the other reversals. And so this thing has sort of borne out as potentially a reversal, and having the same logic of Lemon of like a stray hop kick is fine. A hop kick as a part of in the middle of combos and as combo filler, fine. Don't want to touch that damage. So we're not touching the actual damage of the move. But as a YOLO starter or a from downtown, I read your Lemon and I hop kicked over it, as a party starter, that can be nerfed. That shouldn't be as punishing. And again, it's just a small damage nerf. It's not like suddenly this does no damage, but it is a significant decrease. You do feel it. But it's still a very powerful and attractive tool. But it could turn some games from a 2-touch game into a 3-touch game. And I think that's good. And then this was essentially just a bug fix that someone pointed out in a recent state of the game. Onion's long jump, their hurt box extended like weirdly far below to match the original animation, and it didn't really make sense anymore, and it created very weird, and because the long jump uniquely goes really deep, it created these strange trades with like spice trip. So that's just fixed. I don't think that will come up in anything that's super rare. It's mostly a bug fix. Now let's keep talking about balance changes in the present. You got hit by soup too. Yeah. That tracks. So what is the current state of the game? That's what we just did. How do I feel about the balance now after those changes? Well, I'm hopefully going to get some hot takes in the survey, which I haven't looked at yet, and we'll see it in a few minutes. But just to really recap, this is the slide I had last month of intended balance changes. So I've crossed off everything that I have done. or did something similar or accomplished the same goal. So fixing the Frenzy RC situation, fixing Lemon Starter damage, auto tech on Caber, Hurtbox, damage scaling, Soup Bug. Now, I will say of these, I still want to rework Noodle Jump Cancel. I just didn't get it done in time, and I want to ship out that patch without waiting too long, because I knew I wouldn't have a lot of time to work on Tough Love this past week, because I had to switch over to the cabinet work, the coin op. So this I still want to do. This I've been kind of talked out of. There have been a handful of vocal people in chat in previous streams, or either the State of the Game or a recent development stream, unrelated, that have me less excited about this. SWAT restands I am completely reconsidering and just won't do. I think my idea is maybe that's how the move would have worked originally, as I originally conceived it 5 years ago before Amy drew anything. But the engine didn't support restands. But given the current animation, given the current way it works right now, and the satisfying bounce it gives, and the way that putting them airborne restricts follow-up options, I think is all good and valuable. And so I just don't think it's worth changing. I think it would be maybe slightly worse in that it would give Rice some stronger current options. And yeah, I just why? I think for a minute, someone reminded me that, hey, restands exist now. They were added to the engine relatively recently for mod support, or for a recent April Fool's or Balls or something, I can't remember. Maybe it was for Cryptic Carb. We added restands. Maybe Cryptic Carb had something. Restanding is not what I want to do with SWAT. Pork Caber start running earlier. I'm still undecided on this. And Pork Chop, this is just something I have to investigate. So TBD. So I'm hoping to push out a small patch, hopefully revisiting jump cancels, noodles in specific, sometime this month. But a lot of these other things I've kind of backed away from. Yeah, so I'm still down with revisiting SWAT anti-air and potentially buffing it, but it wouldn't be as restands. It would be about making it more viable as an anti-air, something like that. Okay, future. What's coming up next for fans of Tough Love Arena or MPOL games at large? So, rather than cording them off from Tough Love Arena events and Scramble Hard events and mixing up the chronology, I'm just going to tell you all the events that I'm confirmed for the next several months and what you will find at them in case you happen to be local or want to attend. So GDC is the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. I will be attending this. It'll be my first year attending. I'm very excited. It is the big industry event. There's a lot of talks, a lot of which end up for free, viewable on YouTube. I often cite and recommend, for example, a talk given by the NetherRealms team about adding rollback to MKX and how much of a nightmare that was. It's I think the talk is called 8 frames in 16 seconds, adding rollback to Mortal Kombat. They do all sorts of great resources like that, and it's this big convention. So I will just be there trying to soak it in and enjoy it, maybe scoping it out to booth in the future. So if you are local or if you're planning on attending, hit me up. DM me on the TLA or Scramble Heart Discord. Waffle Games. Excuse me. This is a smaller, more local to New York City con, run out of a local college by some students. It's a sort of end of semester convention they run. I've been going for the last 2 years. It's where I think I first gave my now developing little talk of how to design a fighting game that I've now given a handful of times, and there is now a recording online that you can seek out if you wish. Maybe I'll try and find it during the Q&A. So I'll be boothing Scramble Heart there and probably giving the same talk again, or maybe something slightly different. So if you're in New York, it's either a free or very cheap event. So it's a nice afternoon thing. Not worth traveling cross state for, but if you're local, definitely check it out. Strong recommend. I really like it. I'm happy to be back there for a third year. Level Up Expo is a general gaming convention based in Vegas. This will be my first time attending this one, and first time boothing it. I will be boothing it solo, and I have no idea what to expect. The vibes I get from talking to people, from people who've recommended it, and from their promo materials is that it's trying to go for like a PAX vibe. So hopefully, and they have like some of these conventions you apply to, you're in Artist Alley. Some of them you're in like in PAX, you're like in the developer area and they expect you to have real pockets. And some are like have a special section or discounted ticket for indie developers. This is one of those. So they have a mature enough application process that gives me a lot of confidence that it should be like a real convention. Because I went to some joke conventions last year. There were some weird ones. But yeah, I'll be in Vegas for that weekend. Again, if you're local or if you want to check out a gaming convention more convenient to the West Coast and, I don't know, maybe cheaper than PAX, check it out. And I think lastly, that's been confirmed, and most importantly, is Combo Breaker. Taking place in late May, we are confirmed to have a booth for both Tough Love Arena and Scramble Heart City, and I've applied to have tournaments for both of them. We will see. I probably won't find out for a while. I will be there, as well as two of the Scramble Heart City artists, specifically Savvy and Soup, the character animator and the VFX animator. I am making sure they can make it out there to meet some fans and help me run the table. This will be Savvy's first convention, tabling Scramble Heart in particular, and the first time I meet Savvy IRL. I'm really looking forward to that. So this is definitely the biggest event for the first half of the year. I'm super pumped about it. And if you're in the Midwest, if you want to go, and or if you want to go to an FGC major, I can't say enough nice things about Combo Breaker. I really like it as an event, and they've been very kind to me, selfishly. Like I'll reveal that bias. So if you're there, if you want to try out the new game, if you want to buy some Tough Love Arena merch or challenge me for some free stickers or something, please stop by. I'd love to meet you. And upcoming dev work, again, probably maybe a quick little bounce patch on the jump cancels, but otherwise, I'm hoping now with the bounce patch drama down and the arcade task done, I can get back to my very slow and steady work on arcade mode. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. I know this slide has been the same for a while. Stuff keeps happening. Work is happening. Progress is being made on the game, and this just keeps getting deprioritized. But it is back to the top of the list. So we're working on it. Right. And then one more drink. A brief Scramble Heart City update for those who are following my new game. Because it doesn't have a dedicated social media presence, really, or a YouTube presence at least yet, I'm including it in here. Brief check-in. We are currently wrapping up work on our fourth character, or at least the first pass of roughs, so they'll be pretty rough. The animation will be black and white. There'll be some placeholder reused animation just to to get their supers working, but they'll be sort of playtest ready. So super excited to show them off. We went back and added some new moves to Alistair and Books, so now every character has 2 special moves in the air. Books in particular is they're both very funny actually. They're kind of movement options. I've gotten to playtest with them once or twice at like an offline setting at a local thing, and they're goofy. And my main priority is working with the engine team to fix some of the crashes that we're having. As soon as we make like real substantial progress on the crashes, we're going to have another online playtest. But I don't want to run our playtest with the exact same technical issues we had last time, if not worse, because now we have more art and bigger art, so people would just be crashing more often. We got to fix the crashes before I give it to people again, and we will keep you updated on that. I also actually provided a very long, in-depth, point-by-point of sort of all the changes we had made in both programming and game engine-wise in the last month, and you can find that on our Scramble Heart City Discord, which I can link later if you want to get the itemized list. But this is the high-level stuff. And now time for the survey. Oop. Click the link. Okay. 6 responses. Let me stop accepting. So, we'll just bang these out. Oh, thanks, She. Go ahead and post it in chat as well. Depending on which link to which chat, which talk. Also, where's my Discord? I have too many Discord accounts. Oh yeah, they put Mortal Kombat in the thumbnail. What the hell? I did not approve that thumbnail. But here it is. If you want, it's also linked on my. If you go to mpal.games, there's a talk section where you can find that and the slides and other resources. Okay, let's jump into these real quick. We're going to do all the charts first and then go by the line comments. So TLA is fun, TLA is easy, TLA is average deep, we'll play again, we'll recommend, we'll also recommend to pros. Noodle is, and here we're just looking for a vibe check. Are the graphs all leaning to the right? So Noodle, it's strong and fun. So they're strong, above average fun. Rice is above average strong, above average fun. Beef is above average strong, above average fun. Pork is very average strong, but very fun. Onion is very strong and fun. Garlic is strong and extremely fun. Cool. No, nothing super sus. Nothing super outside of expected range. The lowest score is sort of pork here in terms of strength, but I know that's been a opinion of pork for a while. Let's look at line-by-line notes. Noodle. If you could add, remove, buff, nerf one thing, what would it be? Noodle is pretty cool. Agreeable buff. So I sent this out after that balance patch and try to ask people to, where applicable, respond specifically to the balance patch. Tread carefully, though. They're deceptively strong. I agree with that. Rice. Rice is untouched. Rice means good, not rice means good. Interesting. The usual SWAT anti-air combos. I believe this request is an idea I floated a long time ago now of SWAT, raw SWAT, combo starting SWAT, having like a higher juggle bounce, so it could meterless combo, something like that. I yawn at Rice. Beef. Nerfs to lemon starter leave him feeling even less saucy now. Still strong, but very dry character. I finally get why one of the best beef players is British. Even less saucy. I want to be clear. This is not a tool nerf. This is a strictly very small numbers nerf. So I don't think that has anything to do with the sauce level. I'll take the British joke because they're funny to laugh at. But noted. Oh boy, let's go. Pork. Auto tech on Caber Startup is a welcome quality of life change with certain niche balance implications on offense and defense. I'd still argue it's sorely in need of a consistent way to counter reaction/delay teching. A fresh proposal of mine. So this is describing the situation of because Caber has significantly longer startup, especially at distance. Like if you're at point blank, it's still unreactable. But if you have to run to do it, and even at point blank, because it has a different timing, certain things you can try to like fuzzy your tech versus like a block. If Pork was going for like immediate attack, you could like do nothing and do a delay tech, and maybe that would tech the Caber. That kind of stuff is what they're talking about. A fresh proposal of mine is an empty throw invincible dash. What? Empty throw invuln dash that is canceled into out of running Caber, and itself ends into another uncancelable running Caber. As tested in via modding, this can allow to weave through the active frames of both a reversal and delay tech timing, then subsequently land an undeckable punish Caber on the recovery frames. This is interesting. Ending and running Caber keeps it unsafe against jumps Being an empty dash, it opens up the option of a reversal button to counter hit on a hard reach from the opponent. Ergo, it promotes a more committed but more rewarding defensive rotation from the opponent, which appeals to me as a more engaging vision for Caber. Interesting. Let me think about that for a second. So it's a Caber that you could essentially, while running, turn off the throw hitbox for a moment as a way to avoid, to make them with a throw and punish them trying to react with a tech. I don't think that's the solution. It's interesting, and I appreciate you thinking through the scenarios and even testing with modding. I think that would run into big visual communication issues. If you don't recall, or for those who are newer to the game, back when throws were proximity throws, and even after we changed it to a throw button, I think we changed it to a throw button. Did we add teching the same time we added a throw button, or did teching come later? Anyways, the point is, before throw teching, for several years in Tough Arena, the ways to avoid a throw is that attacks were throw and vuln. And or walking forward. I realized I needed a way for you to hold an input to avoid a throw, or I felt I needed to. Now we just have tech with like a generous tech window and buffer, and some throw and vuln on startup that sort of makes the window big enough. But there was a time where you could go for a meaty throw, especially something like Caber, and if it was truly meaty, the opponent essentially had a 5-frame window to do a reversal attack. Otherwise, they would get thrown, and there was no other way to escape it. And I realized, why doesn't Street Fighter have this issue? Well, Street Fighter doesn't have that issue because you can just hold up. You can just hold up against a meaty throw, and you will jump it, and then you can punch it on your way down. But we don't have an up. And it can't be back because people will just walk out of throws. So I made it the very committal, somewhat committal, holding forward. And I think it worked from a balance perspective. And I think it created some interesting gameplay scenarios. But watching it as a spectator, it made no goddamn sense. Because I would go to throw you, and you would just walk through my arms. My arms, by simple act of you approaching menacingly, my arms became intangible and useless. And I saw it firsthand at an event. This must have been back when it was on proximity throws, because someone was two beginner players were walking at each other. They're both just holding forward, and player one was mashing heavy, thinking, "I'm going to attack you, I'm going to attack you," and they kept doing throw because forward heavy was proximity throw, and the other opponent was also walking forward and just phased right through it. And it was just two characters not interacting with each other. It looked like a bug. To me, it was indefensible. And so, yeah, without like a new animation or doing some like truly cursed stuff, I think the biggest issue with something like this, visually, there's a couple issues. Like, again, no bad ideas in brainstorming. I really appreciate the long and very well thought out suggestion. I don't want for you or anyone else to take this the wrong way. I just want to explain my thought process because I think it could be interesting for people. I think it would be really hard to communicate that I am now in a state where your throw will whiff through me, but I still have to be like right next to you so that then when I resume running, I can grab you. So it can't be as simple as, if I really wanted you to avoid a throw, then I could have you like hop, or I could have you roll under or something. And then that might be plausible as something that would avoid a throw, but then those have other gameplay implications of like, okay, if you're hopping and if they actually didn't go for a tech that hit you, are you now hit airborne? How does it interact with other like hopping mechanics? Like, does that mean you can now go through lemons? You can Caber run through a lemon. These sorts of things. Secondly, I think it creates a kind of too complicated multi-level rock, paper, scissors. I want options to have simple answers, and you can make the mental stack difficult, and you can maybe have a fake, but like this can create a scenario where you're like, okay, I just got caber tossed 5 times in a row. Developer, or asking on Discord, how the fuck do I not just get 0 to death by this move? Oh, you can tech it. You have quite a long time to tech it. If you see them running and you try and throw them out of it, it's very forgiving on either side, early or late, you will tech it. If that answer doesn't work, because now he's like doing something fancy, I think that is sort of a violation of the social contract of rules being consistent, and rock beats scissors. What this inspires me to want to do, is to seriously reconsider run stop as an option of run stopping short and having their throw width. That doesn't have any visual issues. You can tell, oh, I went to tech and I threw, and they actually weren't that close to me. I misread the distance. I reacted too early. And then you could try and, as pork, like whiff punish their throw attempt. But I have to spend a lot of time tweaking and balancing, and like I'm open to trying it out. But run stop I've learned from stuff like Garlic's Dash that like I gotta be very careful with the frame data on run stop, on moves like run stop. So interesting suggestion. Bred some interesting conversation. Thank you so much. Moving on. Make palm not launch. No. They're talking about this. This is critical to the learning curve of the meats. But it's a teachable moment for chat and YouTube viewers. Teachable moment. So meats, as the sort of default not main character, but as the default all-rounder characters, I gave them a combo route that is the high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward. The high risk, high reward is heavy. Uppercut. You get nice big damage by juggling into it. You get big damage in corner, or you can jump, or you can... I keep forgetting which button is which. You can jump, or you can RC, walk up, do other stuff. And you were only seeing the survey. What did I do wrong? Can you not see this? I think my desktop capture froze, and I didn't notice because we were just on that chat for so long. Thank you for calling it out. 1 second. Max screen capture. Restart. There we go. Okay. So, yes, high risk, or high reward. High reward on hit, right? But if they block it, very unsafe, very punishable. Okay. This is a very powerful tool once you get better at the game and you can hit confirm. And this incentivizes you to learn how to hit confirm, because then you can always just do like, okay, this, but then the time that it hits, commit. And you do have RC, so if you hit conform poorly, you can spend a bar to make it safe. And now you're in, and there's other reasons to do it, but like you can sort of undo that mistake at great cost. But it is a high risk, high reward neutral option, committing to the second hit. Compare that to punch palm. Right now, this is the only way to access palm. It is a follow-up specific to heavy punch. This is on both beef and pork. And this is the low risk, low reward option. On block, it is safe. It is -8, so you have given up your turn, but you are very far away. They cannot punish you. If they walk up and start punching you, you sort of have to respect it, but it is completely safe, and it even does a little bit of chip damage. You can see from the red hit sparks and their life in the top right. And on hit, it will do more damage, but you don't get the nice big launch of an uppercut. So that was the intention. My parallel, my example that this was coming from was Ryu in Street Fighter. The difference between comboing, in this case it was Street Fighter 4, but this applies to a lot of his games, The difference between comboing crouching medium kick into Tatsu or uppercut, that's the high risk, high reward that you have to hit confirm, or canceling crouching medium kick into fireball. Low risk, low reward. Works on hit, you get some damage, but you don't get a knockdown, you don't get a ton of distance, you don't really get an advantageous situation, but it's safe on block in older games, less so now. That's what I want to capture. However, people discovered early on, back when Palm left you grounded, and it was just oh, okay, I have like some slight frame advantage on hit up close, that they could RC. And if you were already planning to RC because you wanted to dump meter for damage, then you could either do this, uppercut, RC once you get in, and then go for your chop loops or whatever. Or you could do, sorry, wrong button. You could do palm, RC, confirm there, and then do more damage. And so if you had meter, palm RC became kind of the brain dead, almost strictly better option. Because it gave a similar reward when RC'd to this on hit, it just, yeah, it's probably the old palm input. Exactly. My brain is old. It was too good on hit. It was too good on hit. Even though the damage was low, the opportunities were too powerful. And so I nerfed it by making it launch. Hence why you're probably asking to remove that. Because with it being launched, they only have one drug point. So you can RC now to get a little bit more damage, or more likely, they'll go for jump. But that is therefore a lot less damage than doing, say, this. So if you can hit confirm the heavy, you should do that. If not, if you're not confident, as a learning curve, you can do palm. And you can get some consolation damage on hit, if you really want to. But it's not designed to be a move. I think at some point, maybe at launch, you couldn't RC palm at all. I remember the launch version was like much more opinionated about what you could RC or not. Or at least I had a phase where like you couldn't RC half the moves. And then I did a local playtest of someone who was coming from Guilty Gear, and they're like, yeah, I love how you can RC everything in your game, and then they proceeded to like not be able to RC half their shit. And I was like, oops. So I moved much more towards you can RC most things, but as a result, I have to sort of balance them around the fact that you can RC them. I'm taking forever on pork. Let's keep going. So that's why I will not do that. But thank you for asking. Thank you for taking the form. Chomp Frey 1 armor. Joke. Yep, we all agree. Cool. Moving on. The answer is because Pork gets damage. Pork gets a meterless combo off of his reversal. Making it frame 1 would be too strong. Either I make it frame 1 and it's too strong, or I remove his ability to combo off of it to bring it more in line with Frenzy, but now it is just basically a copy of Frenzy. You remove chop loops. I think it's less interesting. Onion. Hopkick scaling is a good change. Thank you. Ostensibly, it does not alter hopkick use cases, but still eases the matchup against a commonly agreed top tier. That's exactly what I was going for. Glad to hear it. Garlic. Nope. Thanks. This is... The implications when people like write characters' names like that. No buffs, no nerfs, a shining pillar of balance, a magenta abyss of evil. Also as intended. I'm glad we agree. What about TLA appeal to you? Free-to-play browser game. Free and online. I forgot. All fair. What keeps you playing TLA? Less steep of a learning curve. Start playing the mind games. Modding and modding. And what upcoming event are you most looking forward to? The Evil Claire DLC character? I don't know what the E-Claire. Okay. Sadly, there will not be new characters. I want to make that super clear. Expectation, we will not be adding new characters. We might add some more boss characters, but no new animation is really being done for the game at this point. The noodle bug fix broke my mod. Please make the bug fix optional on mods. As discussed, there is a workaround. I can make sure to copy paste it into mod requests. Had you shared TLA with your friends? That's pretty good. Any other thoughts? Thank you for bringing the Waters of Balance discussion on a monthly basis. Thank you for your awesome work. Please add more characters. I'm sorry, this is just not going to happen. Me and Amy have both moved on to other projects. TLA is officially in maintenance mode now. The new bug fix... No, okay. I heard you. And I will not show that part. Wonderful. That concludes the survey. And now we can proceed to the Q&A. So, if you'd like to ask a question, please leave it in chat, and I will read it. If you asked a question earlier, I will not be scrolling back up, so just post it again. I'm going to refill my water very quick. I'll be back in 30 seconds, and then we'll start this. I guess let's just, for the VOD's sake, they can look at the nice pretty screen for 30 seconds. BRB. And we're back. Shiggy says, instead of more characters, say more games. Yeah, I'm adding more games. More free web games. Shiggy says, this is interesting. Does the challenge with tracking cancel windows have anything to do with the ability to track how long a button is held for? No, separate issues. So, the issue with tracking how long a button is held for is I'm just not doing it. And the way that cancels are expressed, and I can demo this. You can see this yourself. If you go to mod, this was the super cool shorthand I thought of. Dumb, naive developer Paul from 2019 to make my life easier. Is I'm just going to use fucking numpad notation. Like an enlightened FGC member to describe how to do moves. So you see inputs like this, 4A, 5A, 6A. This is how all inputs are understood and processed. That string is parsed into then checking for like specific buttons. But everything kind of goes through this translation layer, and it goes through it back and forth through it multiple times. There just isn't a syntax currently for even describing that a move would hold. So issue one is I would have to start tracking that information in the inputs, which I'm not doing. And two is I would need to redo the input descriptor parser. Probably by I wouldn't want to fuck up all the mod files or break things, so it would be like an alternative syntax, like H4A or something. But then like how do you, so like H30, 4A, H30 dash, like theoretically I could figure that out, but that's just a bunch of new functionality. That is not like a simple little thing that I've turned on or off. The second question was, so that's why that doesn't work. Is that related to the tracking cancels, the cancel tracking? So this is the problem with cancels right now. Cancels, if you look at something like, actually, what's a good example? Light attacks. Light attacks are very active. Actually, let's do heavy. So heavy attack is not very active. Meat heavy. And hopefully you can see this. Meat heavy, right here. This is the active frame because it has the attack in it, right? It has 5 frames of duration. On the same frame, I define a cancel. I give the cancel a longer duration. Now, if I don't define this is optional, it will just default to the attack's duration, or the overall duration of this frame. So it would be 5. But that means you would have to press the button exactly while that sprite is on screen. And if you want to have like a little bit of forgiveness for hitting it just a moment later, you can extend that by indicating a longer duration within the cancel spec. However, the way this is then interpreted later, because cancels are not the same as attacks, they're not necessarily tracked the same. When I'm checking a character for like, hey, are the player's inputs telling you to change what you're doing? In order to find out, I have to check, okay, what is your current action, and what frame are you on, and does that frame have any cancel information? When you have a cancel that's longer than this sort of 5 frame, it is stored in memory as you continue advancing through the character. So you move on to here, and this essentially has the same cancel information. But the problem is it needs to refer to the attack. Some cancels don't care about attacks, they just read inputs raw. And that's like the on whiff prop. But because this is on hit, this is also knows, hey, there's an attack on the same frame, and I'm going to check whether or not it hit or blocked when I'm checking if this cancel is valid. The problem with Frenzy is it is multiple consecutive hits. And every time you have a new hitbox, it basically removes the previous cancel and puts in a new one. It stops understanding or caring about the old cancel, and you just can't ask it about past cancels, is how my engine works right now. This engine made out of scrap wood. So it's specifically an issue with multi-hits. And the scenario where Frenzy, if I want it to be something you can cancel on hit, not on block. Like if you could always cancel it, that's easy. That's easy. Then you can just always cancel it. There's no issues. But I don't want you to be able to cancel it when it's blocked, because then you have a safe DP. It should only be cancelable on hit. But in order to verify that it hit, I have to check, okay, what is the current hitbox or the most recent hitbox? What was its matching cancel, and does that match? But because Frenzy keeps having new hitboxes, what happened when I tried to test this change is you would get hit by the first hit of Frenzy. You would start bursting. I would then, not even reacting because it's too fast for that, I would then go to hit my RC input 5 frames later. But at that point, Noodle has a new hitbox out. And that hitbox is not hitting the opponent because the opponent is the middle of their burst startup. That new hitbox isn't touching anything. So when I ask, can I cancel this hitbox? The answer is no, because it's not hitting the opponent. And it's forgotten about the previous one. And this is the first time I can think of that this has come up. Because specifically this situation where it's because it's whiffing. It's because the new one is whiffing. That you then can't verify that a previous one hit. And you can't track multiple cancel windows simultaneously. That's the other problem. If you could track them all independently, then you could look back and see like, oh, the first one, hit a while ago. That's still good. That cancel is still lasting. That's fine. The problem is the future attacks, and they want to also have cancel windows. Because what if they get hit by the first 2 and then they burst? Then I do want to track the cancel on the second hit. That sort of thing. So it's just it's fucked. it's all bad. Hence my little workaround. So 2 totally different idiosyncrasies of my engine and the corners I cut, and the new engine has none of those issues because it's way more generic and just understands that a lot more weird shit is happening, and all sorts of assumptions I had in this game about there only being 2 bodies and only like one attack hitting at once. Well, now you've got assist hitting on the same frame as your point character. All sorts of weird shit can happen, and it's much more accommodating and built around that and on handling that. And maybe we'll have modding for it someday, but that is an issue with the TLA engine. Moving on. Table says, I think pork run stop is worse for the case of why is my option of losing. That is fair. I think something else would have to change. If I gave it run stop, then maybe like Hammerfall, it would have to be slower. Then the consistent answer would be like, if you're up close, tech. If you're far away, just punch it. Because punch would be both options. But maybe jump wouldn't, because jump would be too slow. And you could run stop in time to anti-air you. So I think it really comes down to the frame data. But I get your concern of like, yeah, it would just be repeating that issue. The goal would be, can we find a way to add a mind game that doesn't then... I'm okay with like different answers for different distances, but I want it to then be a consistent answer or a logical answer. Doom asks, Paul, will there be a cat girl character in SHC? No, there are no anthropomorphic characters planned at this time. They are all normally humanoid or inhuman or robotic. No animal adjacent characters at this time. Blake Belladonna. I have no idea what you're talking about, Kerbo. The table had a bunch more thoughts about run stop. Sorry, let me. How to present this? Okay. For posterity, this is table's series of questions. I think run stop is worse for the case of why is my option losing, because while it's more obvious why your option lost, caber cancel anywhere in the run would be incredibly difficult to beat at all levels of play. You can't consistently jump caber, lights and throws whiff, and heavies are slow to where they get caught by caber if you aren't absurdly fast. So worst case, Port can just press caber neutral and you just have to guess whether he'll put the whole caber through or read the timing he starts running. And if you make the cancel really slow, then it kind of just won't work for baiting anything. Why do you think... okay, my bad, is probably responding to something. Why do you think run caber break at any point is a solid idea? I don't think it's an amazing idea, and there's a reason I have said no when other people suggested in the past. Just the conversation about the wanting to reintroduce mind games got me thinking and reevaluating, could this work? And I completely agree with all your concerns, and those would all be problems that I would need to solve. So I'm not like promising that I'm going to add caber break in the next month or something. But next time I'm tooling around with experimental balance changes, it's something that I'm down to experiment with and rethink. Because I know that I'm very happy with the current version of caber, but I know a lot of people aren't. Pork players, specifically, I should say. And I still like this version better than any previous version or any version I can think of. Maybe run stop could be an interesting compromise where I could still keep what I like about this caber but give something to the pork players that more suits what they're looking for. That's all I thought. Okay. Back to other questions. Table asks, what are your plans for ice? I don't really have any plans for ice. I currently have no plans for ice. The end. Separately, table again. What are your plans for noodle jump cancel? I feel like their current jump cancel is very unique and suited to what they do, and I don't know what you would do to them. I wouldn't want to change the utility of it. I think I would just want to change, and this is the hard part. I think the more radical change I want to do is just make all jump cancel timings variable. As I've discussed before, which wasn't possible before, but now that I have on land, I can. And then that would give Noodle the freedom to still have the current timing on Buzzsaw if they want it, but they could choose to delay it against a particularly parry-happy beef or onion. But that is a larger undergoing that would impact all of the characters. It would be weird to just give Noodle that. I would want to do it to everyone, to give everyone a press button to cancel and not hold back. Just change the whole paradigm in design. I think that is the actual path forward and is better long term, but is obviously much more involved and has risks stuff like rice flow dive kicks. I can play with when exactly you get to do it. But because as it is right now, I really like everything else about its functionality. I just don't like that it has the same startup. But if I think I just made it 5 frames slower, then it would just be worse, and it might break certain setups that Noodle players currently have, and I wouldn't want to do that. So that's where my head is at. If I can rework them all easily, I'll do that. If I can't, because I run into certain issues or certain things are impossible to balance, like dive kick, then I might just make Buzzsaw slower. I don't know. Kerwo says, nice rework where Rice gets new tool with new art done by Paul himself. Paul can't do art. For the new game, for Scramble Heart, long before it had that name, I knew that I wanted to make a tag fighter. and I was getting ready to quit my job at the time. And I had the idea, I had a very inspiring conversation with some other game developers at EVO. So this is 2023. Specifically, I think it was the guy from Heavenly Parasite encouraged me, who is a artist and developer, encouraged me to just do my own art. And I was like kind of excited about trying to do that. And I got a used iPad and Magic Pencil and spent some time trying to draw, like, okay, what would my new characters be in this tag game? Like, what would be their main hitboxes and main moveset? And I'm just drawing it as like stick figures just to like get the general idea and like what sort of areas would they control. And it was so bad and so hard and so demoralizing. And then thankfully I found this engine and they were like, here, have money, make a real game that we can show off. And I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Jesus Christ. I would love to someday, as like a game jam or something, make like a Pico 8 toy fighting game with custom pulse sprites. But drawing is hard. I'm very grateful to have amazing artists like Amy and Savvy and Soup and Mike who do amazing work that I will never be able to do. From Ruby. Blake from Ruby, the Beauty and the Beast girl. I'm not gonna add the Ruby character, random Ruby guest character to Scramble Heart City. I didn't know her last name. Everything I know about Ruby, I absorbed from larger internet reaction culture and the H-Bomber Guy video in specific. Catching up. People mostly reacting to stuff, looking for questions. Table asks, Rice SWAT isn't planned to change in the future. I think I want to improve it. I think it's a little too weak as an anti-air. I've already discussed to death in the last 5 State of the Games my dilemma of, if I make it stronger, does it just replace Stand Light? Is it too brain dead? I don't have a great answer to that question, so I haven't implemented it yet. That's where I'm at. I'm mildly unhappy with it. I wish it had more of a presence in as an anti-air, but I've not thought of a satisfactory solution. And giving it a unique reward is not a satisfactory solution in my mind. That doesn't solve the problem. Toy fighting game like Toy Fighter? Kerba? What? Doom says, Table, what do you make of SWAT Quick Port? No, I want the situation you get on SWAT on hit to be very well defined. It is this slight advantage for Rice situation, or you RC it. I don't think we need to add ports to that. Cancel Ground Slam. He didn't say BB Tag. I win. Kerbo, I thought about BB Tag, but I never actually played it or really watched it. I played a lot of BB, and when I learned that BB Tag, has like less inputs and certain characters essentially have like half their moveset, that was just such a huge turnoff. I don't think that makes the game bad. I just know I really struggle. Like, I really go out of my way when I play multiple Street Fighters or when I play multiple versions of Smash to not play the same character in each game. Because trying to translate Ryu with these tools from this game to Ryu with these tools in that game is just frustrating for me. Like, it's frustrating because I'll constantly be actively reminded of and making comparisons between the game when that's not fair and that's not what I want to do. I want to enjoy that game on its own terms and with its own rules and design. And so hearing that, like, oh, I can play my Blues Blue characters, but, like, neutered, like, it turned me off. And, like, every fighting game that I haven't played is just because I didn't have a scene for it. If my friends played it, I would have played it, but I just never really had a chance to get into it. Giant Impact asks, Paul, can you give me the secret of coming back to your code and not going, I do what? No, that's the best part. I am not a social media poster. I'm convinced that posting is a mistake. As someone who spends a lot of time working on social media and enjoying when other people post, I have just known too many people who have been owned by their own posts that my motto is like not even once. All of that said, I made... Wait, actually, shoot. I'm going to open this up and then switch over my screen. Nope, wrong one. Where is... Wait, what? Is this it? No, that's not it. Oh, it's this. Okay. Let's look up Paul Weeks. So this is coming from someone who never tweets outside of like very corporate patch notes. Blah, blah, blah. We're at this event. I'm very nervous about it. But even I couldn't resist making this tweet on my personal Twitter about Scramble Heart. One of the problems with being a solo dev is that when you're trying to debug something you wrote a year ago and you find comments like this, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Overly verbose. I think I killed the joke, if I can be self-critical for a moment. But this is a real screenshot of real code that I found that was like a year old. Where I just... I'll let you read it for yourself. Where clearly like clamp for height is supposed to clamp the number, and that was this down here, but it wasn't working, so I just returned it and I didn't clamp it. And this is just was working for the last like 8 months. Yeah. There is no secret answer. Comments theoretically help. I would say the number one rule I learned about comments, and this is, you don't have to do like super structural JS docs, that kind of stuff, explaining every... I feel like stuff like function names and parameter names can just be explained with types and good naming. You should never, but this is what I learned about comments. Great rule. You should never write a comment to explain what you're doing. You should write a comment to explain why you're doing something. So useless comments are like when you're like, and now I will iterate over the loop. That is clear. But comments like, this is this way because of XYZ bug. Why is the code doing something that would be confusing to a future reader? That's a good comment. This is not a good comment because it doesn't explain why. It's just profanity. It's just part of the job. And then I think we can do a quick Scramble Heart demo to answer Table's question of what are the new moves. Is this gonna make noise? Can you hear that? It might be too quiet. Is that good? Okay. Should just be sound effects. So this is the new character, but the old characters. Book got way better frame data. Yes, way better frame data. His lights now work like that. Just a simple rapid hit, and you can repeat. And he can also chain his mediums now, like every other character. I feel like it was an unnecessary nerf to him. But his air, so his neutral air is still the air fireball, but his down air is now this. Ooh. My favorite application of it right now is actually doing something like this. Wait, I messed up. Also that OTGs. Yeah! Okay. That's book. And spear. Book I'm feeling pretty good about. Like, these both need tweaks. These are not final versions. Damage, frame data, cancel options, whatever. Don't overanalyze it. But from a design perspective, from a general purpose, book is going to have that sort of weird dive kick. And spear has this, which is like a pogo. So it's more of like a direct down dive kick. It has a very small hitbox on it, but it lets you do stuff like, I'm thinking I'll let it OTG, yeah. And you can just, pogo back and forth. Wait. Something like that. Yeah. And then meanwhile, new character. One air special is just sort of like an ender. That. And the other air special is flight. Woo! But we'll get into that later. Gra, will there be teleports? I just closed it. Yeah, kind of. She currently, I'll just pop this back over. Also, this is like out of date. She should have an updated flying animation. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. This is the problem of now having multiple work machines. I might be on the wrong branch. 1 second. Doing it live. Oh yeah, I haven't used this computer in a minute. Yep, I'm gonna get some errors while it's all loading. Beautiful. Okay. Yes, table. I believe I am familiar with that thing. So right now, Scythe, Shadow, she has a couple different names. Her dash is like Bison's dash. It is a teleporting dash. So that is her teleport. And she could do some fun stuff with it. Because this move normally terminates when it reaches her. Like if I'm going back, it still stops when it gets to her. But if I avoid it, I can just fly. Stuff like that. Okay. All right. Now Scramble. None of that is final. None of that is final. That move in particular, I have a lot of like balance concerns about, actually. What's all the full screen corner carry moves? Hey man, everyone just wants to hang out in the corner. Cool. Any final questions? This has been an hour and a half. Last chance, and then we can call it. She asked, who are you playing in the next TLG? God, I forget which character I was on. I feel like I probably haven't played Garlic in a while. I've like very self-consciously when I've entered tried not to play Garlic. So maybe I'd play Garlic. Can I enter the next TLG? Am I available that night? I'm not. Sorry. But I can enter some of the ones later this month. I would love to swing by. Paulozoid, you said there would be 6 bosses potentially, right? Yes, I'd be happy. It will be post-launch. The goal is to wrap up arcade mode, make some improvements to the AI, take the game out of beta. I'm not going to be blocked by the boss characters for beta, but I would love to have a boss character, a boss version of each character, to be the final boss for each of their respective routes. So the end of Noodle's route is fighting Evil Noodle, kind of thing. Or some other matchup, but like each character's arcade mode having a personalized boss at the end. And therefore, if you want to unlock all the bosses, you have to play all the characters. Ooh, think about that. Would also be fun. But for now, we'll just double up. Cool. I think I will call it there. Wrapping up. Let's go back over to the slides. Get that nice big pink blasting on my face. Where's OBS? So, thank you as always for stopping by to the Tough Love Arena Tough Love Arena State of the Game stream. I have been your host. I don't even know what I said, but I trust that it was not wise. I've been your host, Paul. This will go up on YouTube very shortly. We do this the first Tuesday night of every month, assuming I don't have to preempt it for one reason or another. Warning, the next 2 months will be weird because I'm traveling a bunch for, again, reminder, GDC, and I'm not traveling for this, and Level Up Expo, and somewhere between these 2 events, I am moving apartments. So it's going to be a very busy couple months, but we'll find time to do the stream somewhere in there, I promise. And yeah, check out Tough Love Gauntlet in the meantime. And I didn't make a slide for it because it's still a ways away. I guess I'll make one. It is February. We'll definitely discuss it more next month, but we will be doing the April Fool's event again. And we've already assembled a team of promising modders to take on the challenge of making some new messed up OCs for you all to compete with. So very excited about that. Very excited what people put out this year. But more on that later. It's still, 2 months away. Cool. Maybe see you at GDC. If not, see you around. Good night. Where's the end stream button? Okay, bye.